Boom, we are live now. Can you just say anything to make sure that your sound is being picked up properly?
Up and running. Yo, yo, what up? It's Oaceys, Breaking Wreckords. What's going on?
Awesome. Super cool. So, welcome to Bridge the Gap. My name is Holden Stephan Roy, and this is the show where we basically take very smart and interesting people such as yourself, Mr. Oaceys, and we go through your life and we just try to extract knowledge nuggets from the experiences that you've had. And yo, I'm a big fan of Breaking Records and everything you stand for and what y'all are doing. It's like really like setting a standard for, like, you know, especially somebody like me is like, yo, they're like proving the model. It isn't like they're proving they're getting like clipped in interviews, they're getting the contest, everything's fucking moving, and you're just watching like, okay, they got their shit together. Let's pay attention to what they're doing.
Oh yeah, Breaking Wreckords. We've been doing hip hop for a while, man. So yeah.
So
appreciate hearing that.
It's like always cool to have folk like you here because you're just doing so much. So like, how did you get there? How are you still doing it? Those are things people really care a lot about. So we have like a token first question that we run through that kind of gets the ball rolling. It's a little bit of a story. Once it lands, you can answer it however you feel. It starts off with my girlfriend washing the dishes. And she's, doing her thing to this Black Eyed Peas song. She's bumping that shit and this I got a feeling, ooh, and she's like dancing, and she's vibing. And I'm watching her do this, and I'm thinking about this song. And how this song is now like chores music. It's exercise music. It like exists in the sphere of like today and now like that. But like 10 years ago, I can clearly remember being super drunk, dancing to this very same song in bars and clubs, turning up to it. And it really just got me thinking about musics and vibes and whatnot, because music is kind of like something that changes over time. So you have like this song that at one point's in the club, something like maybe a wet ass pussy. And then you think about that song in 10 years and how people are going to be doing the same thing. They're going to be washing chores and stuff, and little kids will be running around. Well, that's the song that people are turning up to, because that's just how this stuff all works out in real life. But you got me thinking again about musics and vibes, and then it got attached that to like our own musical journeys. Now, typically when we do this whole musical journey question, we often start like when we got into music, when we got attached to it, adolescence, my first favorite this. But really, our musical journeys start a little bit earlier than that. Like back to when we were like, 3, 4, 5 years old. And there's all these sounds and these vibes that exist around us. Like in my case, I can clearly remember my dad.
I remember a few tracks.
Amazing. My dad had those gray boxes with the speakers and the tapes, and he played his Zeppelins and shit, and my mom had her crappy disco knockoff tapes, and there was a lot of tapes in my life, a lot of radios, some technos, all these things. And it made me realize this is like really a foundation for stuff that I would end up coming to love way later on in life. So that brings me back to you. I'm wondering if you could take us to like the youngest Oaceys you can remember and walk us through a little bit of the soundscape of your existence back then.
The soundscape of my existence. I like that. The first, definitely the first music memory I have, like, and it's actually like to this day, I always tell people it's the deep song that got me into hip hop. It was, I forget how old I was, probably 5 or something like that. And that's when Space Jam came out. So when Space Jam came out, I had the soundtrack. So that Monstars anthem, Hit 'em High with, Coolio, Be Real, LL Cool J's on that. Busta's at the end, who's got like a real weird verse, but he kills that. So that was I think that's an Easy Mo B instrumental as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to say that, but anyway, yeah, that was the first thing. And I just remember being in my driveway with that little Tykes basketball net, just slam jamming it to the Monstars anthem. That 5 years old, man. So that's the first one, which is kind of whack because that's such a dope track. It was kind of hard to follow, so I forget my next, hip hop song that I really.
It isn't even necessarily hip hop, really, right? Because like, what were your parents listening to and such? Like, what were the other sounds around beyond yourself? Because you're gonna have
just like, I'd say old rock, man. I guess like my mom listened to like a lot of like Motown, like Leslie Gore, and like a real poppy shit, but like from the 60s, I guess it'd be considered poppy. But I delved deep into the crates of those records as well. You can say like I produce beats as well, so you would kind of see that influence more in my production than you would in my rap.
But that's why it's so cool to go back that far, because often that is how these things work. There's so many things that happen. I learned asking this question when you're like 5 that just tie into the person you are as a fully grown up thing. So it's just super nifty also, because everyone answers this question completely different. Like I never get the same response twice. So like we always just learn a lot.
Yeah, that's a good first question.
But like, yeah, so like there's a bit more to it, because there's a bunch of elements, so we like to kind of cover what because as a young one we tend to do more things than we do as older ones. So were you into like the dancings and stuff when you were a little one? I don't know if you're a dancer now, but like
dancing, no, I could never dance. I was always too tall and awkward to dance when I was a kid. But now I was more into like biking and like outdoor kind of shit, like I don't know, kid shit. When I was that age, you know what I mean?
Nah, it's like, fair.
I would say music didn't start playing a real part of my life until like, you know, I guess early teenager. But like,
definitely,
you know,
we're gonna get there. But what about drawing? Were you into the drawings at all? Were you a drawer or visual?
Drawing, yeah. I used to draw a lot.
That's fresh.
I used to draw a lot. I used to like to draw cars. I used to take like that free calendar magazines you get at grocery stores and shit, and I would draw the cars that was in it. So yeah, I used to draw.
That's super cool, man. Honestly, I think that's really like,
I can't know more though.
Nah, but it's like nobody knows these things because we never really talk about them. So it's fun to find out the kind of different stuff we were up to. Nah, but that's pretty fresh. And sometimes people have elaborate stories. I've heard of full theatrical 5-year-old productions that have gone on, and then I've heard stuff where it's like, nah, man, I didn't touch that till later on. But still, we now know that you draw, you're an outdoorsy kid, that you actually dropped Space Jam, which is you'd think more people would like attach to that album for how banging it is, but it's the first time anybody's mentioned Space Jam to me.
I know.
But that song is incredible because they don't cuss one time.
That's a sick soundtrack.
They don't cuss one time on that track. It's actually kid appropriate, because I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, no shit. Even though it's the scariest song on the tape.
But yeah, I was like, that's an impressive track. So when did you like decide? Because usually like where are you from, by the way? It's my like deliberate second question.
I'm from Brantford.
Fresh.
Brantford.
So I know what that is because I've talked to Maloney at this point. Otherwise, I had no idea what that was beforehand. And so it's like it's interesting.
Yeah, most people don't.
He gave us this like real breakdown into like what it was like to grow up in that part of town. I don't know if you have any like memories of what it is to your experience, because why I bring that up is sometimes you hear people talk about things or you see the world that they're at, and people don't always know what the young experiences of growing up in environments is like.
Yeah, no, Brantford, I could imagine what's been said about Brantford. It's a pretty, they call it the ghost town for a reason. You know, there's like nothing to do there. There's a bunch of rusties around there. There's a lot of shit that goes down in Brantford. Brantford's kind of a fucked up place. I remember, I remember being downtown Brantford a lot. I worked downtown at a lot of different places too growing up. And Brantford's a different kind of place, man. I'll tell you that.
Fair enough. And
you see a lot of different shit growing.
And I don't like to like go delve into drama per se, but I do think it's part of your story and part of what helps define your character is to address that you come from a place that maybe is a little different than say like growing up in cushy Montreal. And I would argue I grew up in cushy Montreal. I didn't grow up in like the hardest shit ever. It was always like a safe environment in my life. But
yeah.
No, I mean that's cool still. So yeah, you grew up in Brantford, and then my next question is usually going to be something like musical identities and shit. So usually around adolescence, somewhere in that patch of times, basically you go from, yo, the music is around me, you know, there's a song here or there, to, yo, I heard this track, and music like changes and you start really giving a shit about it. Do you remember when that moment happened for you?
Yeah. Like, oh man, I would still say it's that Hit 'em High song. Cause like I knew then, like I don't think at that time that I knew I really like loved hip hop, and that was like the genre that I felt, but like still like that was the song I would like listen to for like hours and hours. And then I would say, that's a tough question, man.
Fair enough.
The next track, like that's what I mean. I can't even
But even if
pick out
it's
the,
like
the next track.
a general sense of when
I
you
would
got
say
into
like
it.
I would say when I started chilling, I used to chill with my cousin a lot, and he would bring around some underground shit like Jedi Mind Tricks and Atmosphere. He had Binary Star, some real underground shit like that. So I kind of got into that as opposed to, you know, kind of what was on the radio and shit that was going on. Like, you know, I was always into the underground kind of shit. So I would say like when I really started to delve in and dig into the crates of, you know, music would probably be when I started to get like introduced to that underground element of hip hop and that different kind of.
Do you remember how old
different
you were,
kind of element of it,
or what part of your life that took place in?
Probably about 13.
Fair enough. So you get
probably about 13.
How did you actually go and find this? Is it like through the internet? Like what part? How are you getting music at this time?
Well, my cousin, like I said, I was chilling with my cousin a lot. So he always broke me off the music. He always had different burnt CDs and shit. And, you know, he was, he always had cases and CD cases upon cases of just different shit. So I'd be able to, you know, take a couple and whatever, right? And I would check out different shit. And he'd always have the classics on it, like, you know, like the Pac and the Big and whatever. But, you know, he liked that underground shit too. So I ended up becoming a pretty big like Jedi Mind Tricks fan, a big fan of Stoops, the producer there at a pretty 13, 14. I was a fan of them. That's when I'd say I probably really started digging into crates and giving a shit about hip hop. Yeah.
That's we just got a comment from E-Rock. Hit 'em High also influenced Bugs Bunny to rap as well. That's a big part of the song that shit was. I thought that was a great comment.
Yo.
But Stoop,
yo, you're bugging.
But Stoop is an excellent producer, honestly. Like it's a pretty powerful influence to have so young, whereas you know, less conventional. But like to this day, the guy can produce and make it sound amazing. Like to this day, like what 20-something years deep.
Yeah,
that's some incredible shit to me. Fair enough. So basically, your cousin's the plug, and you're in the kind of download burn CD era of music at this time when you're all getting into it. So you're able to actually go find this stuff. We're in that early 2000s hip hop, I would assume, then around that era, or late 90s.
Yeah, that was the like when LimeWire was first introduced, I guess. Like,
no, fair. So during high school,
the LimeWire days.
So at that point, when do you like go from the part of like you're a fan and you're like consuming this to like, yo, I want to actually start like doing this. I want to start being a part of this.
Yeah, well, in high school, like I wouldn't say like I really liked rap, like that was the genre I liked, but I never really see myself as a rapper. Anyway, like there was a couple times, probably 16, 17, probably just like, you know, like drinking with my friends or whatever. I ended up like, you know, freestyling something that ended up being actually pretty dope. So I started just freestyling once in a while, whatever, and ended up getting pretty good at it to the point where like Malone always used to tell me anyway, like when I first met Malone, like my freestyles were better than my written verses. Like I couldn't write a verse. Like I was better at freestyling. So when I first started doing like Monday Night Massacres and stuff like that, like in Malone's basement, when I really started like going into rap, all I even did was like freestyle. So I pretty much, started as like a freestyle rapper, occasional freestyle rapper, and it ended up being like, I was actually dope at it. So everyone always started to ask me to do it.
What's a Monday Night Massacre? So you got to look at it like, so y'all your peoples, y'all know this stuff, but imagine like we're filling your wiki page a little bit. Nobody knows this stuff outside of you and the ones that were there. So, but you telling us this, we can all get enlightened into your journey.
So I'll break down the Monday Night Massacres with you. Like anyway, actually, this will kind of lead into it. So when I first actually even like started doing music or whatever, I was just freestyling. But like when we did the every Monday, like Malone and they were back in the day, the group was called ICOM. It was Lipinski, rest in peace, Lipinski. He's one of our boy. He passed away a couple years ago. It was Maloney, Juicy, and Santoro. And if I'm forgetting somebody, which I don't think I am at that point, but anyway, every Monday they would do this video in Malone's basement on like a digital camera, this real ghetto video, and rap over like usually some DJ Premier beat and just spit verses and do like stupid shit on camera or whatever. And like that happened every Monday, and it was kind of like a big thing in the city. Like in Brantford, like everybody was checking the Monday Night Massacres. I remember like, you know, people talking about it like, oh, yo, I remember you see the last one, whatever. So those the Monday Night Massacres, that was just like a weekly cipher that those guys started doing. And they were at like, they did it every week for a year. And when I first started coming in and started rapping with like Malone and like Icom and those guys, they were at like week probably like 30. They were probably like halfway through it, right? But yeah, like when I first started doing the Monday Night Massacres anyway, like, yeah, I didn't even like write verses. I've maybe written like 1 or 2 verses like ever in my life. And like I would just freestyle or whatever. So that's kind of when I really started giving a shit about it, is when I guess started putting a pen to a page and, you know, I guess taking it seriously. It took a minute, but
no, but that's actually that's an interesting point just to make, that it does take a minute usually. Like none of these endeavors we go on are things that you might decide, okay, I'm a rap, and then take 6 months to get your brain to like catch up to where you need to be at to even start to take it like seriously, just because it's a lot to like shift into, especially if you're coming around a bunch of dudes that's rapping and you're seeing a bunch of things going on. Like, you know, it takes a minute to like adapt to a circumstance. But also like, yo, freestyling and writing are mad different things, and it's definitely a completely different skill set. But that's still like interesting how like a lot of people I talk to start with freestyling, and like, but like, were you into like any of that high school battle stuff? Was that going on around you in your world? Like, were people doing that kind of things?
There wasn't too many people who rapped in like my high school. There was one guy, and I did end up battling him in the cafeteria one time, and he ended up only spitting like 2 bars at me or some shit, right? And he didn't know I could rap or whatever at the time, and he just like, he took like fucking like 2 minutes to think of his rhyme, and then he said it to me, and then I just went off and I like killed this guy at the cafeteria, right? Like, and that's pretty much like, at the time, I'm pretty sure like at the time anyway, like all my friends, they probably didn't even know I rapped, and they were just like, oh fuck, yo, like, yo, Nate could rap, holy shit, whatever, right? So that was the one battle like I had like in high school or whatever. Fuck it. But I don't even consider it to be like a battle, you know what I mean? Because the guy only got like 2 bars out, you know what I mean? So it's not even, it was nothing, but he was yeah,
it's just how did you like decide to start freestyling? Like, was it just being drunk with your friends and then it just happened? Or like, when did you like, yo, I'm gonna start freestyling?
It just like, I think it just like happened one time, and then it ended up being not bad. And then people would start like requesting a freestyle here and there. And then I got better at it, and people started requesting freestyles all the time. So then I ended up just being that guy, like, yo, put on a beat, yo, it's freestyle. Like, you know, like that was me. That was that guy.
And yo, we got Iraq
for a few years.
Iraq asked a great question. Is that Monday Massacre footage available still, or is it all like gone?
There's a couple Monday Night Massacres up still. The majority of them are off because it's a lot of old material, and there's a lot of like, I don't know, I think there was a lot of shit that had to get deleted because one of the YouTube accounts got deleted, and then we had to re-upload them, and like Malone didn't have all the videos, so only some got re-uploaded anyway. So yeah, but there's a couple up there. Just lingering up there, Monday Night Massacre. If you search that up, Icom. We just changed. We're doing the group. We're bringing the Icom name back in Breaking Wreckords, actually. So the next Breaking Wreckords project you see will be under the group name Icom, IACOM.
That's dope.
It goes for I Appear Courtesy stuff.
So we got to hear about the inception of that a little bit right before you dropped it.
You got to hear about the inception phase.
I like that. You guys have done something incredible, and it's worth documenting, in my opinion. So like, you're basically with these guys, then you're freestyling, and I guess at that point you link up with Maloney and all these dudes, and then what kind of happens next with your world? Like, I don't really know anything about you beyond that.
Well, I started working with those guys. Our buddy Lipinski, that was our mutual friend, who introduced me to them anyway. I started, kicking it, ended up doing an album. The Villainous, that's available on the Breaking Wreckords website as well. The Villainous, that was the first album that was produced like entirely by Maloney when he was first started making beats, when he first started making dope beats anyway, and I would take beats off of him. Sorry, bro. But no, yeah, and then after that, me and Malone, actually, we ended up doing an album. Me and him have a group, we go by the Menace Lupus. So we put an album out there. That's also up on all the shit's up on our website. But yeah, and then following that, I did the Anti-Mainstream Movement. That was the last album I dropped, and now I'm just putting out Down to My Last Marble. That's what all this new shit's for. Murder One, Move,
So
all that.
All right, so that was real fast, but I know that a whole lot more happened in between that and that kind of stuff. I know, I get it, man, but this is like, everyone else gonna ask you the quick questions. This is the opposite one. This is like, let's talk a little more. Like, yo, how did y'all get like an album made? When was this? Like early 2000, like in the 2000s when you did your first project? Like, when was it?
Yeah, it was probably like 2008, something like that, maybe. It came out, and yeah, I found myself like, anyway, I started rolling with these guys, found myself freestyling even more, found myself in the basement where we did the Monday Night Massacres more often than I wasn't, and yeah, like we just started working on shit like constantly. Yeah, like I'd just be in like Malone's basement and he'd just be playing these beats he's making or whatever, right? And I'd be sitting there writing rhymes and like working on rhymes and shit. And I'd be like, yo, I want this beat. I want that beat. And I accumulated some beats and he was just like, yo, might as well just get an album done. And like, yeah, I worked on that album for like probably like a year. Within a year it was done, it was out.
Where did you record it?
Recorded it at our boy Don Say's house. Shout out Don Say. He was always when we first started getting into the studio, when we first our first studio experience would have been with the homie Don Say. Went in there and recorded shit. He had all his shit set up in his closet and whatever, but before that, it was just the Monday Night Massacres. It was just the digital camera. I think we had a couple tracks out. Somebody had a couple tracks out, or one thing or another. I forget, but
that's like
yeah, like that was the first studio we started going to.
If I understand correctly, then y'all basically started this using the internet to leverage some clout on some weekly recurring content shit, which allowed you to gain up a little bit of buzz. These are some knowledge nuggets, right? Because marketing didn't really change. People just think it was different in the past.
Yeah, well, it was more local anyway, known, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't say it was more like an online kind of thing, because it was like the people that were watching this shit were all from like the hood, all from our same hood, right? Like all from Brantford. So,
but it was still like a way to do it, right? Because regardless if it was
it made it
not,
more accessible, right?
It allowed you to establish that original foothold because it was the recurring. You did it every time at the same time. People get used to it. Like those rules don't change for like today on how you build out content, right? You got to be regular with it. You got to, like, you guys seem to be doing every 3 months for your contest and shit like that. Like there's calendars, there's recurring natures and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's really nifty to me. And then from
but then we started dropping shit in the studio, and we just started working on albums and shit after that. Like basically, like just kind of put all our work. Like if we're gonna do something, we might as well make a whole project, right?
Which sounds like a great elevation.
So that's the direction we took.
No, but that's cool. Like you started your foundation, but on top of that, you create chemistry because you're basically working with a bunch of people doing your the cipher thing. It's not just an isolated person. And then over time, you get to see who's serious. You get to see who's down. And then you start to build your core group.
Yeah.
And then, so that like explains a lot of how it all kind of came to be, how y'all are so tight-knit and whatnot. But you really put in time, like establishing a foundation. Then you evolve that into working together, which is just incredible. Because collectives is kind of like the move, if you were to ask me. And there's not a lot of collectives, in my opinion. So seeing y'all operate as you do is like mad inspirational.
Yeah, word. Yeah, appreciate that, bro.
But like, so you start dropping albums. Are you also doing shows? How are you like promoting your stuff at this time?
Yeah, well, we the first show that happened, Icom did a show. I didn't perform. I didn't have any tracks out. Like I said, we were just starting shit, right?
Right.
But it was Baloney, Lipinski, and Santoro. They did the show, DJ'd by our DJ Jay Beats, who was DJing for this guy Sky at this time. So Sky ended up, after that show, ended up becoming a member of Icon.
Okay.
So he's an older guy. So he had the promotional shit kind of on lock, and he's been doing shows for a long time. So he had all the links on how to do the flyers and links on the clubs and shit. So it was basically when we had probably an album, or so like Maloney probably had an album out. We probably had the Menace Lupus out or something. And then we really started doing shows when Sky came around, and we had access to, you know, like bar owners and shit. He knew people, and he was kind of our foot in the door to actually starting to do shows. And then it kind of just kept rolling from there. So we would do shit at, like, you know, like the Alex in Brantford. There was one at I think Jackhammer's, a bunch at the Alex. Fuck, I don't even know the other bars' names, man, because you know what, it's Brantford, and the bar will be closed the next year and it'll be a different name. So I don't even know what to call these bars anymore. Every time I drive through Brantford, it's a different name. So, but yeah, we did a bunch of shit. Yeah, mainly in Brantford. I remember my first show though was in Niagara Falls at a place called The Bank. But yeah, so it started off with Sky getting our foot in the door with the shows.
So you start performing, and I guess at that point, like, you guys are just like, are you, or like, I don't know, at that point, are you like a collective, or is it like you're in that group? Like, I don't know, is it just like a group? Are you more like, how does it like, I don't know, it's just so interesting to see how you work. Like, I don't want you to go and, like, you know, tell us everything that you don't want to say, but it's just a lot of people really just have, since so far back, stuck around for so long. And even the story is cool. Just like, you went to Niagara Falls and performed.
Yeah.
That's lit. Like, I've never even been to Niagara Falls. Well, I went once. But, like, you know, like, it's dope.
Yeah. No, that was a dope show too. But yeah, we were a group. It was ICOM started doing shows as like a collective at the start. So that was J Beat, Sky, Santoro, Lipinski, Maloney, and I know I'm forgetting some motherfucker. And then Juice, the Eye Accomplice, which is Obi now. But yeah, they were doing group shows at the start, and then after, me and Maloney ended up having an album, and people kind of branched off after that, and me and him started doing shows because we had the Menace Lupus album out, and like that's kind of where it snowballed from there with me starting to do shows. But like I didn't do shows with ICOM as like a group. Collectively, I wasn't in ICOM until like a little later. You know what I mean? When they were starting to do that, I was like just around for like maybe a year or something like that.
Nah, it's fresh. Yo, Kato definitely did cook up with the heat. All of them are good, man. It was a fucking good. I enjoyed peeping the beats for real. And then I'm like,
yeah, they're all pretty sick.
And I like that they're different. I like how you have that varied flavor, so that like you can almost feel like each beat is like that designed for like a different almost emotion, in my opinion. Like, or at least I took it that way, and then maybe other people will, but it makes it fun. It makes it like really, really fun. We did have a question about the ciphers. Are you guys doing ciphers or have plans for ciphers anytime in the future?
Like, I was actually, you know what, like speaking of ciphers, is that that's related to those Monday Night Massacres, I take it? Something like that?
Yeah, it was related to that.
Yeah,
question.
like, you know what I was thinking? Yeah, actually, that's a good question. Reminds me. No, fuck this Corona bullshit. But we have, I got a homie. He's got a real dope spot in Hamilton, the Yard, and he sells like paint and shit out there. And he's got a DJ, our homie DJ Kirk John. And I was gonna host a cipher there and actually bring back the Monday Night Massacres and have different guests artists come in and have him spin my beats and have artists drop verses over my beats and shit, and like get it filmed and everything. And I was gonna do that like not every week, but like do like the Monday Night Massacre, do like a once a month thing, right? And it'd be a good way for like, you know, like local artists, whatever, come out and do a cypher, you know, good way to promote Breaking Wreckords, good way to network shit like that. But like, so that idea is in the works. When it will happen, that's gonna decide on, you know, how things pan out, like, you know, how, you know, logistically with this COVID, right?
Yeah, I think we're all facing the same kind of we don't know when, we just don't know what we want to do when it's done.
yeah.
Like I see, like
for
the
sure.
whole.
But yeah, no, that shit is coming. Like kind of the ciphers that we do kind of got, like, not really, but we do all these contests that we do. We put out like a recognition tape or whatever, and it's just like various, you know, verses from the contest, everything like that, right?
Yeah.
To kind of put a cipher together on over the contest beats with different contestants, right?
That was a blessing.
So look out for that if you want your verse on.
Y'all had CB Mac on that like first one, and fucks with CB Mac heavy, so I was like, gotta be bumping that one. But no, that was another best idea. I saw y'all do that, and I'm like, shit, like they are really on point. Like everything you're doing was like innovative with regards to that. I'm like, not only did they do the contest, but they found a way to monetize that shit. Like, yo, that's extra bless. That I was really impressed from like the boss move of that. And not like it's bad, it's great for like everybody involved. It's just a bunch of wins in that situation, and it's fucking cool.
Yeah, I'm really happy how this contest is coming around. I'm really enjoying like everybody coming around, everything, how we're doing it. Like, it's really dope. So it's good to see people fucking coming in. I thought it was like it's a lot doper than I thought it was gonna be, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I could see how like in a concept level it doesn't feel like it's gonna turn into it, because y'all had like, you have a magical group. I mean, I don't even mind pivoting to that, because like I literally been watching that shit since what, September? Was like late August, September was when y'all started with that. Like that's when it came on my radar at least. And man, it's lit. It's been like fun watching it come to life, watching the entries come through, watching everything play out.
Yeah.
It feels like a story, like an episode of TV that's playing out in a Facebook group a little bit. Like just this like season of like characters coming through, and you start to get to know the different like players and contenders, like all the personalities. Like, man, like Coulter's making videos, dropping inside jokes to a group. I'm like, this is fucking way bigger than like I really, really fucking imagined when I first saw it in the first place. Yeah, I was totally thinking of Erock said he was thinking of stealing your recognition tapes idea for his verse. I was like, yeah, I was totally thinking of stealing your idea too. I'm not even gonna lie, it was on my mind the whole time. I was like, yo, I might do that. I got a contest. Let's get fucking, what am I doing? Why didn't I think of that? But now y'all did it, and I'm
there
like,
you go.
Like, it's inspiring.
Yo,
man.
Royalties though. Breaking Wreckords royalties. Send the check. Send the check.
Oh man, fuck man, no.
No, that's sick. Yeah, it's a good idea, man. And it gets it's a little more promotion for like the artists, like, you know what I mean? They promotes your contest as well, right? Like,
yeah,
it's one amazing. Hand washing the other in that situation when you do it like that.
Nah, it's amazing. Like, let's go back to your story a little bit. So you and Maloney start doing your own thing, and after the collective comes out. But also, I wanted to ask about the collective. Was it more than just artists? Was it like beats, videographer? Was it like bigger than that, or was it just like a bunch of artists and y'all just had different skills that you brought to the table?
Well, like there was like the group icon was always a group. You know what I mean? It just kind of had rotating members of who was dedicated at the time. Like, you know what I mean? There'd be a couple members, dealing with some shit, or like out, like, whatever, like can't put music as a priority, you know what I'm saying? Like, if music's not making you money, you got to understand, right? So if we like Icon was the collective. It was always like together. We just had kind of like different members coming in and out. But like the collective was, we had Jay Beats in the group. That was pretty much the only dude who wasn't a rapper, as far as I recall correctly. Like, you know, we got the homie C-Rack, who's always in the clique. He's part of Icon, but he's not a rapper nor a videographer. He's just C-Rack. So shout out C-Rack. But no, we had Jay Beats, and then Lipinski. He would come out a lot of the time with me and Maloney when we started doing it a lot with Jay Beats. Well, it was there was a member Santoro. He stopped rapping for a while, so he was out of it for a bit. I guess I kind of went in and filled his spot after Icon was done. I guess, like, you know, performance wise, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Filled the role that, like, you know. There was always like 2 or 3 of us. There was always at least 3 of us at the show, right. Whether it was, you know, me, Malone, Jay Beats, or, you know, Sky was there as well. So the collective we always moved as like a movement, but like active members, like, you know, members who were actively doing music, that was kind of interchangeable. But yeah, it was always a unit. It was always a family, like Icon.
So like, we got a question to like kind of follow that up, because like we were thinking about Breaking Wreckords before, and like, what is it? Is it a label? Is it a collective? Is it what is it? It's like a hard thing to like put one word on from an outside perspective, like looking at it. And I guess it was like,
Breaking Wreckords movement.
That's it. Like, to me, like, but it feels like it's a collective, like, for the sake of understand, like, for common, like, it's a movement, but like, y'all are a bunch of people with skills that you can accumulate together to make a bigger thing happen. I mean, that's what I think when I think of collective. Like, collectives make movements happen. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I see it. So I guess it's like, do you think collectives can replace labels in a sense, or should they replace labels?
Well, it kind of is a label when you're talking about independent artists. You know what I mean? So if you don't have a label, that's kind of what you got to do. That's kind of like the best route you can take, is to, you know, come together and network like that. So one person can take, you know, responsibility for one thing. One person say dope at producing. One person's the dope MC. One guy's dope at engineering the music. You know what I mean? You all come together and you work together for a, you know, like the common goal. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody's trying to, like, you know, make something, do something with it, right? You know, and once you do, you break bread. But like, you know, when you don't have a label, you know what I mean? Like that kind of turns into, you know, it wouldn't even replace a label. That kind of is your label for an independent artist. You know what I mean? You got to make your own label. You got to make your own connections. You got to get your own everything, right?
Yeah. No.
So yeah, I guess it kind of is like your label.
Nah, it's fresh. So I don't know if it can completely replace labels, but it's definitely the way I think. And I agree with you entirely. It was a big mistake for me to try to operate by myself for a long time. Big mistake. I realized along the way, nah, you kind of need to work with people to actually grow in this game. And just on, like, even having a guy that isn't a rapper on your squad makes that guy want to rep your squad. And that's still an extra person saying your name, pushing the shit just because they're invested in it. And it's like everybody has, like, people with them. And so I think that's one of the cool things, is because y'all are so many and you're working towards this, like, common goal. And that's fucking blessed. And I keep saying it because, like, it's actually just that incredible to witness playing out. I don't know how many people bring light to that or anything, but I know for me and anybody I know that's watched you, that I've talked about you with, that's like the most incredible part of the story, is that today and now you're still together.
Well, that's right. Like, we keep the circle, you know, like semi small, right? Like, we've all been rolling together, like you said. Yeah, like you see it. Like, we've all been rolling together over 10 years, pretty, like, all of us. You know what I mean? So, you know, there's no real surprises. We've just you just haven't seen the whole collective at once all the time. You know what I mean? Like I said, kind of members are interchangeable. Like, they're just like, one's not dedicated or, you know, whatever, right? It's not at the forefront, but now, like, yeah, we're all coming together and we're all putting in the work. So shout out to Breaking Wreckords, all y'all.
No, it's amazing stills. But another fascinating thing, more than 10 years. That's the part that a lot of people aren't a big fan of, I think, in life, is like that it could take a long time to achieve it, because you guys are like crushing it now. But I remember Maloney being like, yeah, we weren't crushing it forever. It took a long time of building and creating and working towards this goal. And I say that because
nobody's a fan of anything taking it a long time. Nobody's a fan of anything taking a long time to get where, you know, they want to go. Everybody want, you know, oh, shit, I want it easy.
big facts,
But fucking, yeah, you got to do it, man. You got to put in that work.
but you guys are gonna have it for life. Like nobody can take what you guys have built at this point. It's kind of hit a brand level that's powerful, and that's like the result of the decade plus that you put in, and that's what makes it cool. Like there's no fucking that up. I mean, you've just got history behind what you do, like years of shit that exists to back up anything that you want to say today that people can go find, including Monday Massacre videos from back in the day to just show where you're all at.
Yeah.
That's powerful. So yeah, are you like producing off the jump, or are you just rapping?
I was just rapping like strictly. I didn't start producing until probably like 5 years after I started rapping. Like, and I can't believe, like, I started producing on this program SoundForge, but it was like a Sony program, like $60 Sony program from Future Shop, right? And it was just made for like recording, like vocal recording. It wasn't even like made for making beats, but I somehow figured out how to make beats on this, right? And it took like about a year until I was dope at making beats on this fucking SoundForge program. And I just ended up sticking with this bullshit program that I was using for like, you know, that year, right? So I produced with SoundForge for like 3 years when I first started producing. Like, but yeah, it wasn't till probably 5 years into like rapping, like from like when I started rapping like serious, you know what I'm saying? Like, so from when I told you.
So
like,
when did you start?
It was probably a good 3-4 years. What's that?
What made you make that transition into deciding to want to produce? Like I can tell you 8.5 years into rapping serious, I have no desire to start producing really. So it's like, to me, it's fascinating that
I think everybody, like, I don't know, that's weird you kind of say that, because you know what I mean? I was about to say, like, everybody who I know who raps, like, wishes they could make beats, you know what I mean? Like, I wish I could make my own beats. Like,
I mean, I have a desire to stand next to a guy and go beep boop 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 boop, and then they make it. Yeah. That sounds dope to me, but to actually do the engineering is like, I hate editing. I'm not a big fan of like editing videos, engineering. Like I all of that process. It's not the composition, it's the making it sound good that I have no desire to learn.
Oh, the engineering part.
I'd play an instrument 7 times as fast as I would get into like actually learning it. Because I played bass for a minute, so it's not like against the musical side, but like to actually like go play with a sound program and like learn the science of sound engineering to know how to make every single. Nah, I can't do it. I've no desire. I'd rather make a marketing plan.
Well, mine, when I started, every sound didn't sound like so cohesive. You know what I mean? Like now my beats, like, I don't know, you can hear the beat I made for the contest. It sounded, that one will sound a lot cleaner than the ones I was making with this program, right? But no, I just always wanted to, like, you know, make my own beats. Like, you know what I mean? Like Maloney's making beats like every day in his basement. You know what I mean? I'm just like, like I want to use you know what I mean? Like I want to make this beat. Like he would be like, he would make a fucking banger. I'd be like, yo, give me this beat. He'd be like, nah, like, nah, I'm keeping this one. Like, I need this one. Like, you know, like, so I'd be like, fuck. I was like, yo, I got to start making my own beats.
I guess I can say I never had that experience, though. I haven't actually been around a lot of people who cook up beats. Usually I'm at the point where the beats are available and I get the beats. And I was really good at scrounging for the weird beats no one else wanted, and people would just give me that shit, and I'd be like, okay, cool. And then so I never like really sat there and watched people like cook it up, get attached, and lose it because it wasn't mine. Like that never happened one time to me. So that's an interesting difference. Right, where I could see how you see that happen.
That happened a lot to me, man. Even Obi, shout out to Jack Hellington, the other Breaking Wreckords producer in the contest, right?
Yeah.
He would come over and like he would play us through beats. So, like everybody in Icon would sit around. Obi's coming over, and like Obi was new to like the circle, and we'd be like, yeah, we're pumped for these, like, you know, these new fucking beats. And we'd all sit there and like before the drum drop, you like if you liked it, you'd be like, yo, it's mine. I'm calling it. Like you want to call it before the drums drop, because if it drops and it's fire and someone else calls it, you're not getting it. But then if you called it and the drums weren't fire, you're still taking it and somebody's getting the next choice. So it was like, it was just a big fucking ruckus, like fighting over beats.
No, that is so
like,
cool. Tell us more about like that process, man. I never, like, again, for me, this is just personal curiosity, hearing how another artist does their thing. So y'all would be in a room and mans would come in, and it would be like a beat lottery of sorts, and you would effectively have like a order, like a draft, like when you're doing like fantasy hockey and you got your draft picks, and then you would like kind of set up a system like that.
No, it wasn't that organized, man. It was just a fucking bunch of dogs in the yard fighting over it, just like, especially Obi instrumentals. Fuck. Like, he would sit there and he would run through them, and if you got one, then the next one you couldn't pick. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you already picked, you just picked one. I like this one, you know? Like, so he was, him and, you know, Sky, the one guy who I told you kind of got our foot in the door starting to do shows. Shout out to Sky. You know, he had beats and shit. He made fucking fire beats. He's actually got a beat coming up on the new Menace Lupus album. We're starting to record that soon. But yeah, he would come over and we would all fight over these guys' beats. You know what I mean? Like, I remember, like, me, Lipinski, Maloney, there'd be Santoro, there'd be like, no, this one, like, you know, we need this one. I want this one. No, I want this one. No, okay, we'll collab on this one. You know, like, and if the fight got too intense, we would have to collab. But yeah, that was
that's an amazing sentiment.
Those are some fucking.
We went too hard on the beat. We fought too much. Fuck it. Now we have to fucking collab on this mother. That's a hilarious thought to me. But I love that. I love it because, like, again, like, you can hear you guys rapping together and like the same names keep appearing. Like, we found that Maloney album from 2013 you're on. You know, a bunch of stuff I was trying to like dig through, but I could find. I didn't actually go to your website. That would probably been a smarter choice. But like, in general, like, it was so cool to just see how y'all, like, you're consistent, which is fucking cool. But like, y'all have like a chemistry. Like, we do album reviews, and one of the things my girlfriend looks for when she listens is like, are they friends? And you can hear when people are friends on a song. And that shit is like apparent from every track I heard that you're on with anybody else. And that's actually like a really great feel that you bring to the energy of the music you make together.
Yeah, well, we've been rolling together for a long time, right? So that plays into like being able to collab and bounce off each other and like ideas, and, you know, like, especially like at shows and stuff, you know what I mean? Like, you know, we pretty much know like each of our lyrics, you know, like off by heart. If one of us is too drunk, I'll just rap your song for you, like, you know, like, whatever, right? But yeah, like, so yeah, we just been working together so long that, you know, like, it just comes second nature, I guess we don't think about it. Something like, I guess people, like, if they work together so long, you wouldn't think about, you know, that, but it's cool the listener would pick up on that.
Nah, it's big time apparent, like, for real. I could picture you guys covering each other, because like, in your styles are similar enough, but everybody's voice is pretty distinct stills, and I like that about it too. But yeah, so like, what was it like? Were you like touring around Ontario? Were you like sticking to Brantford, or like what was like it like? How were you like branching out? Because like, y'all seem to be in like Toronto, Mississauga land now. So I know at some point it seems like you left. So like, how did you like branch out and break out of your town?
Well, like, performance wise and show wise, like, I stuck in like southern Ontario. It's been, you know, a pretty provincial thing. Like, I don't think I can even, like, I haven't been able to leave Canada for a long time, so going overseas wouldn't be an option. Like, yeah, just basically like being from Brantford, we started doing shows in Brantford. Like, you know, I guess my first show was at Niagara Falls, but other than that, after that, it was Brantford for a long time. And then we started doing shows in Toronto and in Woodstock and in London and places like these with Filthy Tarantino. He was our plug at Woodstock for shows. Like, that was, a couple shows in London. But we would stick to like promoters we knew that were kind of local, who we could get, like, you know, our broke asses could get our fucking DJ to drive us out there, like it wouldn't be too much of a hassle to go on tour or anything like that, right?
Right. No, but
So it's been mainly like Southern Ontario, branching out of my hometown of Brantford. I guess that's when I started coming to like, Toronto, London.
Is there like a whole circuit for Southern Ontario? It's like I know in Quebec we have like this Quebec circuit. Like if you really want to make money, you don't play Montreal. You go around Quebec and do all the small towns, because Montreal's saturated as fuck, and all the little places are like lit. But if you're English, it's not the best market for us. So for us, honestly, Ontario is probably a much better place to go branch out if we want to go perform, let's say. So is there like a circuit that exists in there, like a bunch of towns and whatnot that are just have like lit stuff that goes on?
I wouldn't say like I don't have, like a town per se. I could, like Niagara Falls is always hype. Everybody in Niagara Falls is always hype. So that's a good place to do shows. Other than that, I don't really have any real spots that were like, better than the next, you know what I mean? But it depends. Like if you want to go on tour or whatever, it depends what promoter you're, dealing with. Right. And like where he's going, like where everybody you're performing with is going. I don't know. I don't go on tour.
Fair enough. I mean, if you don't have, it's just curiosities, because like I don't know a lot about Ontario, to be honest. Like I've been learning geography. The more I talk to people, so like I've been in the area. I was in Hamilton like one time, and like I have like bits and pieces. I've been to Toronto twice, so like I kind of know the area. But in general, it's like it's a lot of smaller places that are kind of near each other, as I understand it, right?
Yeah, like Toronto's like the biggest city, like it's huge, but like, yeah, like from where I'm from, Brantford, there's like a few small towns around there, like population is like 500,000, 200,000, there's like a town, actually, there's a Paris, there's Burford, there's different, real small towns, I guess. Once you get into the GTA, that's when the city kind of happens.
Fair enough. So like, when did it like become Breaking Wreckords?
Well, Breaking Wreckords started like it wasn't, I think like Malone probably a better guy to ask about the start of Breaking Wreckords than me. But Breaking Wreckords was originally like Malone and Innes starting doing like radios and interviews and shit like that.
Okay.
So that's when Breaking Wreckords started, Breaking Wreckords Radio.
So they were doing that for a while.
And then they were doing that, like, and like, well, we were still like, Icon was still like a click or whatever, right? But that's kind of how Breaking Wreckords started. And then, Malone just kept going with the interviews or, whatever, and stuck with Breaking Wreckords. And, that's just kind of like the name we rolled with because it, gained so much traction, right? But Malone or Innes would probably be a better guy, a better person out of the clique to ask about the start of that.
Yeah, fair enough. We were just curious because again, like I
do remember coming up with the spelling though for Breaking Wreckords, making it the WRECK, like the wreck. Some people might tell you different, but that's the truth.
I like the spelling. It's a good. Nah, I enjoy it. So like, yeah, who made the logo? That is a good question.
I don't know who made the logo, man. Like, I don't know. And I wouldn't want to venture a guess and then say the wrong dude, you know what I mean? And give somebody else. So I don't know. That. Again, yeah. So I don't know who made the logo. This logo been around for a long time, man. This logo was around since they started doing like the radios and shit, right?
We'll definitely have to ask Maloney that when he comes back. But like, so in your case, you're rapping for a while. You're doing the shows around Ontario. You're clicked up. You got the different group projects. Y'all are featuring together. You're just kind of running with the squad, and then you start making beats at some point. So you figure out how to make your beats, and so basically that's kind of what it is now. You're a cycle of producing albums. You're making your own beats. What else is going on in your life though?
Well, yeah, like mainly like I'm kind of like trying to do that. Like I'm trying to produce a lot more than I have, right? So when I came about to start dropping these like new tracks and shit and kind of get more, back into, the swing of things a couple years ago, right? Like I was like, I could put a few projects out. I can showcase, my production and shit. And like, that's like, I like producing, excuse me. I like producing just as much, if not more than I like rapping. I just started rapping. I've been rapping so long, right? Like
Yeah.
I'll never stop rapping. But like maybe like, artists go through phases too. You know what I mean? Like maybe like a guitar player, like he likes playing the bass now and he wants to play, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? A different kind of guitar. Maybe it's something like that, just going through like kind of a phase or whatever. But yeah, I kind of like started I invested in a couple like a program, Studio One, um, different shit like that. I was like, you know what, like I'm gonna really start trying to produce and shit like that and focus on that as much as I am rap. So that's kind of what direction I went with when I'm dropping these new projects. Like I got Down on My Last Marble coming out. That's the tape. We just dropped the Breaking Wreckords album. Other than that, like just like yeah, that and the contest is pretty much yeah, what I got going on, man. Staying home, chilling out. Not much, trying to stay busy.
So to walk us through what it's like to like make a beat. Like what is your process like?
Well, first I find a sample. Like once I find a sample, and I need to find a sample. Like I need to find a good sample. Like you can sample anything really, but I try and pride myself on finding good samples. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit, if he found that, you know what I mean? So samples first and foremost, and how I want to lay that out, and then I'll listen to the track for a while, sometimes too long, and I'll waste a day doing it. But like I'll just listen to the track for a while, and just kind of like work out in my head how I would chop it up, what I would do, what could be the hook. This could come in at a switch up. What's a cool sound, whatever, right? Kind of play the track, get a feel for the track, and then yeah, I start with the sample, find the sample, chop the sample up, make it sound how I want it, and go with the drums, and I just kind of like build from there. You know what I mean? Go on from there. But yeah, the first and foremost is a sample.
That's cool.
You gotta find the dope shit.
So like, what to you is like?
You gotta find.
What are you looking for in a dope sample? Like, what to you like makes a dope sample compared to other things?
Well, like I don't know, like a lot, like
Kelly,
a lot of people like violins.
Says Filthy did the
like
logo, by the way.
Pianos. What's that?
Apparently, Filthy did the logo.
Filthy did the logo. Shout out Filthy Tarantino. He did my logo too. Fucking no, like some people like piano, some people like violins. It depends like what you like. You know what I mean? I like a lot of like, like smooth shit, and I like vocals in my shit. So, that's like the only thing I really, I guess, look for would be, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a tough question. What do I really look for in a sample? Like, what do I tend to go for?
Yeah, I mean, I know there's this show I watched that ended up.
Like, I like hip hop, man. I'm an old school head. So like, it's usually something, from like the '60s, some sort of, funky shit, or some real like melodic smooth shit with some vocal in it. I don't want to give away all my secrets on how I make the sound, like, make it how I want it and chop it up or whatever. But
yeah, even like, if you went that far, I'd have no idea.
That's the process of how I get it.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, to me, it's just interesting, like, to like listen to you talk about it. Like, people seem to like be into hearing people's creative processes, like the technical nuances of what you do in the software is like, okay, I'm not that. I'll personally get a little less interested at that part. But like the part where you're like, nah, I look for this melodic smooth with vocals, and I feel the vibe, and then I think about how I can listen to the beat all day. That shit's really nifty to me. Like, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm not the only guy that sits there and marinates on that shit for me. Like, because you don't know what other people do.
I'll waste a day. I'll waste a day, bro. Like, I'll sit here, I'll like even if I get like my sample laid out and just get some drums, and if I like it that much, I've ruined beats that way. I've got a sample lined up and got the drums out, and I've been like, this is so sick. And I'll sit there and I'll zone out for like a half an hour, 45 minutes, and that like straight, you know what I mean? Just like, yeah. And then like, it'll click in my brain like, yo, fuck this beat. Like, I got to shut this shit off or my head's going to explode. And like, I'll never even go back and touch it after that. Like, I'll just start with the next one or whatever. So like, there's a ton of beats like that I have because I listen to it over and over again. So sometimes you can get the feel of it. Sometimes you could lose the feel of it.
So one of the more interesting things somebody said to me recently was that how they can tell their song's a bop or not is just that they listen to it excessively and they only put out the ones they like after. So in a way, you're kind of vetting your beats. You're bumping it, and then if you still fuck with it after an hour and you want to go back to it, you know that's that shit. That's like, to me, that's a nifty approach, honestly. That's a knowledge nugget right there, because I've been fucking with that method a little more. I've been chain listening to shit in ways I never did and being a little more patient and a little less fucking put it out right away with it. I'm like, okay, no, this lets me understand the vibes better and whatnot. So hearing you actually break down that process is fucking cool. Like, it actually doesn't sound like a waste. It sounds like a smart thing to do if you're making beats, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe quality control wise, but productivity wise, I'll tell you something. there's a stack sitting over here, man. I'll tell you. I probably got like over 100 of those just sitting there.
I know.
That's what happens though, man. Sometimes you go back and you're like lazy. You're like, yo, I don't know what to say. I don't have a sample. You know what I mean? Like, what do I got halfway cooked up? You know what I mean? Oh, this was dope. This is a year old. Like, what is this? Like, and then I'll make a beat that way. So like, I guess like at the end of the day, they never really go to waste.
No, that makes a lot of sense too. I mean, to me, it never is a waste. Like,
yeah,
the idea is you're creating. You're still practicing the skills. You're still putting the time in. And honestly, listening is part of the job. So like, it feels maybe more like a waste than it is to me. And yo, the one thing I can say is all the peoples in this group are like, Oaceys beat is so good. Now, maybe that's a little bit you're part of the squad, but I'm pretty sure they really feel that your beats are that good, because I'm going, Oasis beats are really that good. Like, I'll listen to your productions everywhere. You can find it. You hear it. It's always tight. They're interesting. They're not like... You have style. Like, there's a style to it, and each of you have a style to it, which is something I really appreciate. Like, I do find myself a little bit drawn to like the Hellington ones because they got this experimental tone to it, and you got like this energy that makes me want to stay in my lane and be safe with it in a smart way. Like, let's do it right, you know. Whereas Hellington makes me want to do some risky shit. So I like the fact that like that's like consistent for each of these contests that I've seen. So like, it's cool that can be like an effect of it.
Sure.
So. Definitely the fact that you've established that, I think, probably comes from a little bit you do take time into, like, quality control.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you, like, do you have, like, sorry, let me rephrase that. When it comes down to, like, this, like, virtual side of life that's going on, do you foresee yourself fucking with things like Twitch and live streams more and all of this as time goes on?
Well, like, I think you're gonna have to, you know what I mean? If you want to be an artist, you want to reach out to people. Like, this is the way it's going. You know what I mean? You can't go sit on the corner and sell mixtapes no more. You know what I mean? You can't go, you know, sit on the corner, like, keep rapping at people and hand out t-shirts. People think you're a weirdo and shit. Everything's done online now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the new norm. Like, even album sales and shit like that. Like, you know, even big record label companies, it's all online sales, right? Like, everything's online. So I'm not too much of like a technology or like social media guy. Like, I try to be as best I can to, you know, with this music shit and the Breaking Wreckords and whatever. But like, eventually, like, there's certain, you know, apps like you have to get, you know what I mean? I didn't have Instagram for the longest time, but then, you know, like, everybody's like, yo, you got to get Instagram. Like, if you're going to be any type, like, you need an Instagram, you need Facebook. Like, you know, there's a few like apps and social media stuff like that just take over and become, you know, most of what your audience would be using. You know what I mean? Like, of course. Yeah. So like, I can see myself using all that, like to reach different kinds of audience and stuff. I see a lot of people doing collab battles back and forth or whatever on TikTok and stuff like that. So, like I could, I try it out. I try it. I try my best at social media.
Like making beats live on Twitch. I say that because I know a lot of people are getting into that world in particular, where you kind of monetize the stream, where you make the beat and then you flip the beat and double monetize the stream. Like you can.
Yeah, see, like for me, like I couldn't do that. Yeah, sorry, man. I couldn't do that. I couldn't sit there on live and make a beat. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to hear what anybody's got to say. I already have the beat pretty much made in my head, like how I want it to go as I'm doing it. You know what I mean? So I need no distractions. And also, like I told you, I'll sit there and listen to it for an hour. You know what I mean? I'll listen to the sample song for an hour. Like if I went on live doing
really,
that shit, like nobody would be watching.
That is the one part I have to disagree with you on. I recorded this chorus for like 20 fucking minutes of me just doing the same fucking chorus, trying to get it right. And people will stick around. It's fucking weird a little bit when you think about it, but people are so fascinated by watching other people create, while Netflix is not doing great with entertainment right now, that like I would personally watch you bump that, because I'd want to be doing it too. Like I'd be hearing that beat and I'd be watching, like it'd be part of that process.
Yeah, there's me not really knowing social media too, right? So like I'm not really a social media guy. So yeah, that would be a different take. I can see that now. Like I wouldn't want to watch me I wouldn't want to watch my boring life, you know what I mean? But hey.
But it's not boring to me. That's the thing. I think a lot of us feel that
does,
way.
Right? Maybe somebody does.
I mean, you're Oaceys. You're this guy that shows up with the beats, and y'all have classified in your name drops, and you're as interesting to me as anyone else.
I got beats, man.
And your beats are well made. Your raps are rapidy raps. Who else can drop a pack in the Mac in the back of the Akbar all proper like that? That's very nice. I enjoyed that a lot. No, for real. Your bars is nice. I like the references you make.
Fun.
Like it made me appreciate your tastes to hear the things that you shout out, especially fucking killer bike bars. It's fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
So like
that's that's in the move track there.
Yeah, it's a bop. That one is by far my favorite track you did. I felt like I wanted to move listening to it, and I'm into dance a lot these days, so like I fucked with that one heavy. But like
dope.
I don't know, man. It's super nifty to talk to that, because I know like virtual reality is coming. I know a lot of people don't want it to be coming, but it's totally coming. I guess like that must be something that you're not excited for.
Well, is virtual reality like, or is it virtual? Like I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's an experience.
Everything virtual
like
is becoming reality.
Yeah, the VR shit's weird, but like I don't know. It's like, to me, it's like doing drugs, right? If you do it in moderation.
It's like a shroom trip.
But it is, though. Like, I can tell you, man, like, one time we were sitting here and, like, we went to these bullshit, boring-ass art museums in the VR. And it was stupid, but, like, you take a COVID circumstance and it's like, is it something I want to do for 5 hours straight? Nah. Was it going to become like super fucking a prevalent part of our society and shit? Yeah, but let's go a whole different route. The Oaceys show starts in like fucking VR, and you got a bunch of light triggers and shit. So you say words or whatever, and when you say certain words, a bunch of shit pops off and a bunch of colorful crap happens.
Yeah.
That's like the other side of VR, where it's like the creative potential is ridiculous. Do I want to be there all day? Nah. Is it like Black Mirror? I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. But like, it's definitely coming. And it's definitely not real life, but it's definitely a thing. I just see your name. There you are. Camera's back. Fair enough.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Nah, no worries. Honestly, at this point, I do this a lot, so I just get used to rolling with the whatever happens with it. People cut off, things go on, people come back, it works. At the end of the day, this is content. People are listening. People don't usually watch this shit so much as it's on while they do things.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's good being on here with you, fucking for sure.
Nah, I appreciate it. So what are your like influences these days? How do you like what do you draw inspiration from musically these days?
Uh, man, like I'm that old fucking grumpy guy sitting there listening to his Big Daddy Kane and his Big Pun. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I still listen to the same shit for inspiration that I listened to before. You
Mm,
know, like I just like Pun's my favorite rapper of all time. Uh, fucking like I listen to the same shit like over and over, man. Like Big Pun, all that good shit, man. Kane, Rock Him, Big L,
those are,
all that.
nah, it's dope. Um, so what are your plans for the next bit once COVID's done? What are you able to share with us?
Well, I think I might be reaching up to Kingston with the homie Chris Thomas for a show Friday. This coming Friday. Once COVID does stop, yeah, Breaking Wreckords will be yeah, back like hitting the block again. We'll be doing shows, especially in Toronto. It's like, you know, we're local, so we'll be out there. I got Down to My Last Marble, that mixtape dropping. That'll be dropping during the contest, so you know all the contestants, they can stay posted to that. Um, you know, and yeah, me and Maloney, we're hitting the studio to record the next Menace Lupus album. So that's about it, man. When COVID's done, we'll be back on the street ripping it,
Cool, man.
killing it again.
All right, so we definitely appreciate you coming through, man. It was great to have you. So yo, thank you everybody for watching and being a part of this with us. It's always great to have you there. And for those of you watching in the future, we definitely appreciate you all there as well. Make sure to hit the subscribes, likes, follows. Make sure to check out the Breaking Wreckords stuff and Oaceys and all that. All the links are going to be in the description of the video. And yo, special thanks to the patrons: Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Powder, Jonathan Barnes, DJ Black Hurricane, Linda Williams, and Scribble. The dope, they support what we do. And if you support what we do as well, you can check out that Patreon, patreon.com/behindthatsuit. On that note, we do appreciate you being here again with us, Oaceys. And I do hope you have yourself a wonderful day. And on that note, everybody, live long and prosper.